Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Purity After Promiscuity podcast, where we are redefining a woman's worth. I am your host, Jenna Renee, and hey girl, hey, how y'all doing out there? So glad to be back again for another episode of the podcast where we are redefining a woman's worth. And I am excited to talk about today's episode. I hope you guys had a great 4th of July weekend. I hope you spent time with family, loved ones, and I hope you just was able to make some wonderful memories. That's what it's all about. Family is everything, and making memories is awesome. And it is one of the things that helps to keep you going sometimes, or you can just look back and just say, oh, I remember when. And even for those that may not have family and you may feel like you spent it alone, just know you're never alone. God is with you. And I pray that you find your right community, that you find your tribe, your people, where you are able to have that fellowship and you won't have to spend another holiday alone. So before we get started, I would like to go ahead and release the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey girl, welcome, welcome, and welcome again. I just want to say thank you to all my loyal listeners, everyone who's been rocking with me, my A1s from day ones. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you for your support, your shares, your downloads, your streams. I really appreciate it. And even for my new listeners, you're so appreciated. We thank you. It's a blessing to have you here. You can join the community. You can follow on whatever platform you're listening from. You can subscribe. You can like, you can leave a comment, a review, give us a 5-star review if you feel like the podcast was edifying, if it added value to your life, and also share with your community. Just share. Like, that's the only thing I'm asking. I ain't over here asking y'all to contribute financially or monetarily. You can contribute to partner with the podcast simply by sharing with your community. So I just thank you. And today, before we get started, I just want to say, y'all, I'm going to be honest. I've just been having a time. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't gonna hold y'all. And so today I'm just talking about right thing, wrong time. Right thing, wrong time. And distractions, right? Because, as we're on this journey of uprooting, we're in season 8, where it's all about rooted. So we're uprooting things that have been rooted that were not of God, that did not serve us, or that cause or creates negative patterns in our lives. And then we are planting good seeds in good soil, good habits, good mindsets, so that we can walk in our true worth and our identity as daughters of God, walking in purpose, being unapologetic and bold as lions of who we are, who we're called to be, what we're called to do in this earth for the glory of God. And to do that, that for some people may be easy. It may be easier, right? But for some of us, it is like a challenge. And it constantly feels like it's a battle. And today I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking about how I've had some tasks to do that were really important, honestly. They're really beneficial. They're things that I really want to do and really need to do. And I've been supposed to have done these things since last week. And when I tell you, every kind of thing that you can imagine that would come up just to be a distraction came up. And I probably took the bait, if I'm honest. I probably took the bait. Because instead of me just staying focused, just saying, you know what, I have to be committed. I have this deadline. I have this task. Because I'm going to tell you, like, everybody want to be an entrepreneur. Everybody want to be a business owner. Now, while it's so amazing, it is great. It is so fulfilling, honestly. But it also takes a lot of self-discipline. It takes a lot of self-control. It takes a lot of self-denial. You have to hold yourself accountable. Whereas if you're an employee working for somebody else's company, you have that accountability built in because you're told this is your schedule. You need to be to work at this time. You leave at this time. You take your break at this time. Here's your, here's your job description. Here's the parameters. Here's the policy. Here's the procedure. This is the culture of this business. We're going to train you to do how we do what we do, right? That's already embedded for you. But when you are a business owner, you have to create all of those things yourself, and you have to be a self-starter, you have to be self-motivated, and you have to be so able to be just disciplined. And if you lack in any one of those areas, you're going to have a hard time maintaining consistency or maintaining a rhythm, in your business. It's like you'll start really hard, start well, but then you'll fade off really quickly, because it's like you have to know that distractions are going to come. Life is going to happen. Things are not going to always go according to plan. And those things, when you are a business owner, or even just stuff that ain't necessarily bad. It could be stuff that's negative or bad, but stuff that's not bad. Like you can have family emergencies come up. And it will just totally just kind of like take your mind, as it should. It will take your mind and your focus off of things. I had a family emergency last week that was unexpected. I had a family member in the ICU in the hospital with an unexpected, severe situation. And thank God that they're now been healed and they're back home. But when we first, got the calls and, got to the hospital, it looked horrible. It looked bad. And I had already had a schedule, or at least a set time in my mind, that I was going to work on some things that are so projects that I have to complete for my business. And, that came up. And so then, that kind of took precedence. So I found myself, all my extra time I was going up to the hospital, because the situation in the onset, it seemed very dire. And then after that, it's work. And then from work, it's stuff with my sons. And then from stuff with my sons is, it's talking on the phone, or, being present for my friends, or it's going to this thing and that thing. It's just like so many things. And I found myself being so distracted from what I'm supposed to be doing, to the point where I could have had everything that I needed to have done last week like I was supposed to. But yet, here I am still on Tuesday, July 7th, and I still don't have it done. Because every single day I declared out of my mouth, today I'm going to take the time, I'm going to shut everything off, shut everything down, and I'm going to finish what I need to finish. And every day, if I just wasn't exhausted, because some days when I say I was literally depleted, exhausted to the point I just went to sleep. If it wasn't that, it was just the busyness of around the house, or the busyness of work. If it wasn't that, it was, ripping and running. If it wasn't that, it was just something. And now I just sitting back and I'm thinking how this can be such a trick of the enemy. And while I just don't want to put everything on the enemy, because we don't give him no glory and he not that powerful. But the truth is, he used the same tactics. He don't change it up. He studies us enough to know what's going to work on us. And for me, distraction is like super, like one of the things that just kind of trips me up. And I don't even realize it, because the thing about it is, what's so diabolical about distraction? Distraction can be hidden on what appears to be good, right? Being there for your loved one while they're on their sick bed is good. You know, being showing up for family is good. You know, when your friend needs a talk, or is in a crisis, or y'all need to catch up or whatever, that can be good. All these things, right? Just making sure you come home and you're organizing your home, you're cleaning, you're, doing, everything that you need to do to allow your home to be continually running smoothly. That's good. What happens is, or even being tired, like let's keep it real. Like we live in a society where they push like being busy, the hustle culture. Like everything got to be do, do, do. Like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm over here, I'm over there, I'm on this thing, I'm on that thing, I'm doing this thing. And while being productive is wonderful, being busy, just busy, doing a bunch of nothing or just being busy with busyness isn't always good, because we could be busy doing a good thing that's not a God thing. So now to switch gears to talk about the right thing, wrong time part. You know, I sit here and I'm like, God, there are so many times where I know I heard God. Like I know. Like you get to a point like you ain't arrived, you ain't prideful, you ain't got it all together, but you don't like got God, to all figured out. But you have walked with God long enough, you spent intimate time with him enough, you've been in that word enough, prayer, you have been in devotion enough, you've been in worship enough to where you know how he speaks to you, you know his voice. Right, the Bible tells us that the sheep knows the shepherd's voice. So you know the voice of God. You know when he's speaking to you. You know how he confirms things to you. And it's so many times where it's like, I feel like I know God said something. I know God told me to do something. And, you know, maybe I didn't stop and fully surrender it back to him to really get all the details. Because I knew it was God, I tend to take it and run with it. And then I base decisions on what I heard God said, not considering that seasons and timing is a factor. And a lot of times I have gotten tripped up by the same thing, making a decision that appears good, but then as it is unfolding, it becomes like the complete opposite. So here I am, like in again, just feeling like I'm in a valley of decision, right? I got some decisions to make. I got some decisions to make that could, you know, either catapult me into my future or keep me in a repetitive cycle of just delay, right? And I mentioned this on the episode not too long ago, but I just really feel like it's something that needs to be talked about again, because I don't know for you guys, but if you're like me, you just feel like you kind of are always like just going through the motions. Like you're always on this hamster wheel. Like you just want to figure out how to get off. And every time you think it's time to get off, something happens and you right back on that thing. And for me, the thing that I've identified that has been rooted in me is definitely poor decision making, and definitely just not having enough self control and the patience to wait. Because you can get an idea, it could be a God idea, I'm sorry, excuse me, a divine idea, but it doesn't always mean it's time to act on it right now. And sometimes we just get excited, we get full of emotion. And see, that's the thing that I feel like the enemy plays on. He plays on our emotions, right? He plays on our excitement. Like we get so much excitement around something. Especially if it's something from God. And you just like you're 100% in, you believe, you got full faith. You're like, God, let's go. And then but the danger in that is not having the awareness, not having the ability to stop and consider. My God. Mm. Just wait. Just be patient. Just see what else God has to say. Inquire of him. Like, God, give me the details about this. Is this in this season? Is it in the next? Is this future? Is this now? What does this look like? How would I know? What would be the sign? What should I do? Like instead of just going full steam ahead, just really taking your time and really being in step with God, and not being ahead of him, but not being too behind, right? Being in sync and synchronized with God and his timing and his timetables. And I'm just like, here I am in a valley of decision. I got some decisions to make. And I was kind of like, I guess you could say I was like mulling that over and processing that with a friend of mine on the phone earlier today. And I was just, wow, I feel like in my heart, my decision is made, but what is starting to become more unclear is how and when. It's how and when. Because as I really was able to sit today and just look at the pros and cons of both options, right? Like I'm in a situation where I gotta make a decision on if I'm going to, you know, stay where I'm at or if I'm going to go ahead and take a leap of faith and move to another place. And while it may sound very simple, but it's so nuanced because there's pros and cons. Like to stay where I'm at, the goal for me to move is one, I want to minimize some of my expenses. So in doing so, I would like to, find another space where it can be a lot less costly, right? Because as I'm navigating this season of wanting to become a better steward of my finances, a better steward of my resources, there are areas in my life that I know I need to cut back on. Because here's the thing. One thing about money and finances, you gonna never master money as long as money masters you. And when I say that, like as long as we make decisions in our life based on like we make $100,000 and our lifestyle is $100,000. And the thought process is, well, I can afford it. Just because you can afford it don't mean you should do it. And just like Paul said in the word, he says everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. My God. And I remember that scripture because I remember when I first heard that scripture, I was like, dang, that's deep. It's simple, but it's profound. Like, dang, he's like, I can do whatever, but everything ain't good for me. Everything ain't going to benefit me. Everything ain't going to be fruitful. And as I'm thinking about this situation, I'm like, just because if have made 100,000, just because I could afford to live at $100,000 lifestyle, don't mean it's beneficial for me to do so. Because a person who is maximizing the full 100% of their income is literally one paycheck from being poor. Because Lord forbid, if you lose your job, if your company goes bankrupt, if they begin to lay people off, if they furlough people, if you get fired, whatever the case may be, if you don't have a good emergency fund, which should be 3 to 6 months worth of all your bills, rent, utilities, groceries, whatever all you have responsibility for, then you're not going to be able to survive. And you probably don't have a savings because you've been maximizing 100% of your money. You haven't even taken the time to live beneath your means, not even beneath in the sense that you got to live like a pauper. You got to live and be like, you got to be less fortunate or needy, or, you can't have nice things. Nobody is saying that, but there's a way to maximize your money and understand if I live at, let's say, 75,000, if all my responsibilities, all my bills, everything that I'm responsible for comes up to 75,000, that leaves me 25,000 of my income to do other things like assign my income to go make more money so I can begin to invest. Assign my income to begin to save so I can begin to save and put money up for savings. I can maybe start putting money up for, vacation. I'm able to, do other things and I'm not feeling the burden of living paycheck to paycheck even though I make 6 figures. But because a lot of us has not been taught financial stewardship, financial literacy, a lot of times we begin to make money and instead of minimizing or looking at ways on how we can restructure and reassign some of our, bills, our responsibilities. How can we look at everything we're paying for, especially little stuff like subscriptions? What can we alleviate? What can we eliminate? What are we not using that we're paying for every month? Like how to really just be more proactive with our finances. The more money we make, the more high end our lifestyle becomes. And it's like Just because you can afford it don't mean it's beneficial. And so as I was looking at my situation and I feel like, I've been paying a certain amount for things, for where I'm at right now. And even though I've been doing it, it is to me, it's a little more costly in this season. Like when I first got into it and first started doing it, yes, then I was scared. Honestly, I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't think I could do it because it was a big leap from what I had been paying before. It was a big leap, but I did it anyway, and I went into it scared, just really trusting that the Lord was going to make sure He was going to provide the resources for me to be able to pay rent every month, and it's been happening. However, I'm in a season now where I'm re evaluating my finances, and I'm looking like, does it make sense? See, it's not always can I afford. Sometimes the question is, does it make sense? Does it make sense for me to pay this? Am I getting something for this amount of money that is so beneficial, that is so valuable that I can't dis that there's no way for me to discredit or to get what I'm getting for for anything less, right? Is it something so exclusive? If not, am I able to get everything I'm getting at this price, but get everything I'm getting at a lower price? If that's the case, it makes sense to get the same value that you're getting now at the higher price. If you can get it for a little less, why not pay a little less and you're not losing anything? You're getting the same thing. What you're doing is you're reallocating your resources. Now you're freeing up some money. So maybe, like me, you got some debt you need to start paying on. You can't just pray that God remove your debt and you're not actively trying to do anything to help pay the debt that you rightfully owe. Like we gotta stop having that poverty mindset. Like a lot of us who are in debt, we got ourselves in debt. I got myself in debt. I willingly came into agreement. I willingly signed an agreement. I willingly promised to pay. I willingly whatever I did to put myself in debt. And so right by right, I owe them. Right? But I can't just sit here and just pray, oh Lord, eradicate my mountain of debt. Lord, eliminate my debt. Lord, supernaturally remove my debt. Let my all my debt be paid in Jesus' name. Wow, there's nothing wrong with praying like that. But if you are not at least trying to pay on something, you think God is a genie. You want God to be Santa Claus. Like God is not in the business of just granting your wishes. God will partner with you. Come on, somebody. In faith. And He will put His super on your natural as you begin to walk in it yourself first. And so, as I'm in this valley of decision, I have to really look and say, on one hand, I can stay where I'm at, keep paying what I'm paying. It is an ability for me to get a bigger space, which is one of the main reasons why I was looking for to move, but because I need more space. So I can do that, right? I can get more space where I'm at and be paying the same amount of money. Or if I move, I gotta consider the upfront cost to move. Because we all know moving ain't free. It costs a lot of money to move. You gotta rent a truck. You gotta, get people to help you move. You gotta pay for a deposit. You gotta pay a security deposit. Maybe you gotta pay, a first month's rent or something. There's a lot of costs. And if you got a bigger space, you might have to buy some more furniture, or equipment or whatever the case may be. There's going to be upfront costs to move that you're not going to incur staying where you are. But you're at that higher end amount staying where you are, and your space is a little too small for your business to accommodate the growth of your business right now. So it's like, wow, just up and moving kind of seems like the answer because you want to find a space for less or you want more space, right? So that just seems like the the answer is a no-brainer. However, count the cost. Like Jesus says, no man builds without counting the cost. Count the cost. Like on the onset, it's gonna cost you more to move. Now at some point you might begin to, that might begin to even out and you might begin to, start saving money, but initially you're gonna be spending money. So it's like, what is you supposed to do right now? See, because wisdom speaks at the gate. God will begin to put things in our hearts and our minds to prepare us for what He's leading us to do. But it doesn't mean it's a right now. So we always have to be careful to stop and consider, to count the cost, to examine, to look at the pros and cons of every possible outcome, and submit it all back to God to get clarification on what you should be doing. Because the right thing at the wrong time is still wrong. That was the main thing that the enemy was trying to get Jesus to do when he tempted him in the garden. He was trying to get Jesus to operate in his deity ahead of time. Turn this stone into bread. Throw yourself down off the building. Says the angels is going to come and bear thee up, right? He's trying to get Jesus to do things outside of the will of God. Then he just was trying to get him to be in idolatry altogether, like bow down and worship me, I'll give you whatever, all these things, all that. But if we understand that the enemy's tactics is the same then as they are now, and one of the ways that he will trap us up is getting us to be outside of God's timing, outside of God's will. You could be doing something God has in his will for you to do, but you could just be doing it ahead of time. So just because God starts speaking to you and he say, it's time, I'm speaking to you about relocating. I'm speaking to you about going to a new job. I'm speaking to you about, moving to a new city or, whatever the case may be. Just because he might start talking to you about certain things, that don't always mean that he's saying, but you need to do that right now. Sometimes he is saying that. Sometimes he's like, listen, this is what I need you to do. And I need you to do it now, like yesterday. But that's when you have to make sure by staying in his presence to hear from him, to confirm when, where, how. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in cycles. Or you're going to get so discouraged because it's not going to work out the way God really wants it to work out because you're outside of his timing. And so you will find yourself so discouraged. Hello, I'm there, where you don't even want to try no more. You don't even want to believe no more. Now it's so hard for you to have faith in anything. God can give you a God ordained dream right now. He can give you a God ordained download right now. And you so discouraged, your heart so sick, you so hopeless because you've been operating outside of his time so many times or for so long that you've just given up. Man, listen, the Lord does not want us to be struggling and constantly going around the same mountain, being on the hamster wheel, being stuck in cycles. He wants to set you free. He wants to set me free. But we have to be honest about the things that we are going through. We have to be honest. We have to make sure that we have to be honest and see that what we are doing, are we operating in the will of God? Are we operating in the timing of God? Are we operating in what God has called us to do when he's called us to do it? Yes, there are times where God says, do it now. Like, get up now. Like he told Israel to get up in the middle of the night. He told them to prepare, to pack the cloaks, fill it, tie their belts around, just prepare because you're gonna be moving quickly, fast, in an instant. Like, so he will tell you time at times to prepare. He'll tell you at times things that you need to begin to do because of what he's about to do. And you will have to move quickly because maybe the window of grace, the window of time is short, because the enemy might be on your heels, like Israel. Yeah, they obeyed. They got up. They left Egypt in haste. But guess what? Pharaoh changed his mind. The Egyptian army and Pharaoh was on their heels, ready to, come after him. But then God, because they obeyed, God parted the Red Sea for them, and then he drowned the Egyptians because the Egyptians thought they had the same grace to go through the sea, the Red Sea on dry ground, and they didn't. So yes, there are times God gonna say, "Do it now, get up now, move now, move now." But then there are times God is like, "I'm putting this seed, I'm sowing the seed into you, in your heart, because I want your mind to shift, and I want you to come into agreement with it." And now I want you to be attuned and open to when I begin to speak to you concerning this thing. So when the time comes, then you can move. Because we look at David, we look at Joseph, we look at Abraham, right? We look at these individuals who had promises. God put a seed in their heart, but it didn't come to pass immediately. It was decades. So we can't assume one or the other. You gotta make sure that you seeking God for yourself, that you lay at the feet of Jesus, that you are like Jacob. You're like, I'm not gonna let you go until you bless me, Lord. Give me clarity. Help me to have understanding. Give me the details. Give me the timing of this thing. Because sometimes it's like God is like, I just want you to start preparing, but I still want you to stay where you at. Right? Even I had the thought, and I'm about to end here after this. But even in the processing with my friend on the phone earlier, the thought came to me: just because I'm in an uncomfortable situation does not mean that it's God's intention for me to just run or avoid. And we got to get out of that mindset too, especially as Christians, to think that every time something is hard, every time it's uncomfortable, every time it's difficult, that is your sign that it's time for you to just chuck the deuces. You just out of there. You just gone. It's time to run. Sometimes he wants you to stand firm in that place because there's something or someone there. He might want you to be the light. He might want you to be the one that can minister to that person, that can testify to that person, that can lead them to Christ. Maybe it's something he's teaching you. Maybe he needs you to get some stick witness, some endurance, right? Because you're a runner. And when you're uncomfortable, you run. When things are hard, you run. So you got to now check your own motives. Like, am I doing this because God told me to, or am I doing this because I'm uncomfortable and I just want to run? So I don't know. This it's a lot. I know. I just pose some questions there. Hopefully you just take these questions, you write them down, you meditate on them, you take them back to God. You be honest with yourself and be honest with God, and in the areas that you know that you need to surrender to God, that He needs to help you in. Just do it. You trust me. You'll be so very glad that you did. Because when you get to changing your mind, man, you can change your life. Like, I say that even in my coaching, like, I'm here to help you change your mind so you can change your life. You got to do it. Nobody gonna do that for you. But you got to be willing to let go of these old outdated mindsets and thought patterns and processes and behaviors, and really get in alignment with what is the standard of God? What does God say? What is God asking you to do? What is He requiring of you? What is He asking you to let go? Right? And it's not easy. What is He asking you to endure? Like, long suffering is a thing. Patience is a thing. Believe you me, He will. If you don't have none, He will develop it in you. That's why you got to be careful, because you don't even know. Here's the thing, and this just came to me just now. You might be somewhere. Your job environment might be, chaotic. Your home environment may be chaotic. Your neighborhood may be chaotic, right? The church you go to, you might feel like, oh, it's too much drama up in here. They got some stuff going on. This a mess. whatever, right? Whatever your circumstance is, that's not conducive to what you really know is good or is healthy or desirable. Okay. But what if God still have a blessing there for you? Because see, we like to think God is like human in the sense that he think like we think. But God's ways are not our ways. You don't know what blessing he has for you there. So if you move prematurely, hey, come on somebody. If you move prematurely, then you will miss the blessing. So right thing, wrong time. So stay in place until you know God has released you. So you know your conscience, your heart is so in tune with He is that you're not running, that you're not trying to escape from something, that you're not just trying to change your environment because you tired of dealing with it, you can't stand so and so, and you frustrated, but because God said that is obedience. Too many times do we try to mask our own desires as our obedience to God. No, since you doing that because it benefits you and because you have an issue. So you're doing this even if God told you to do it. It's your motive. You're doing it because it is going to be directly beneficial to what you want, not because God said it. Because there are things God is going to tell us to do that we don't want. There are places God will tell you to go that you don't want to go. There are people that God will tell you to love on, to connect with, to be kind to that you don't want to. So don't think that God is always going to cater to our desires. No. Our desires have to align with his will. It's the nevertheless. Do you have your nevertheless? Yeah, this is not the most favorable circumstances. Nevertheless, though, not my will, thy will be done. This ain't what I really wanted in my life. This is not the career path. This not the relationship. This is not the situation. This is not what I wanted. But nevertheless, not my will. Like if we don't get the nevertheless, listen, we're not going to ever get to the destination God is want us to be at because we're going to be too focused on what we feel, what we think, what we want, what we see. It's going to be me, 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 I, instead of God, your will be done. God, I surrender unto you, God. If you say so, I will do it. We got to uproot that pride, guys. Sisters, we got to. If we don't uproot that pride is really going to hinder us. The Bible tells us that God resists the proud, but He gives grace to the humble. He resisted. Sometimes you gotta humble yourself and stay in the hard place. I remember when I was gonna leave my church. I was literally gonna leave, like wrote a whole letter of renunciation, my membership and everything. Like I was serious. I was like, hey, I prayed about it. I sat with the Lord about it. I did talk to a friend about it, and I feel like I shouldn't have done that. Only because sometimes people give us have good intentions, but they give us the wrong advice because they give us advice based on their thoughts, their perceptions, their perspective, or what they feel versus really what God is saying. So you gotta be very careful. But I took time. I don't feel like I made a super irrational or quick decision, but I did make that decision and I did submit the letter to leadership and I did have conversation with leadership and I stopped going. And even during that time that I stopped going, I still was sitting with God because I just was like wanted to be sure. I wanted to make sure I wasn't being deceived and I wanted to be sure I wasn't in my own feelings because I'm emotional. I lean into my feelings too much, too often. So I really was still sitting with God. I was in my word. I was in prayer. I was worshiping, fasting, all kind of stuff. Because I was just like, Lord, I just want to know. Because I had believed God called me to the ministry really wholeheartedly. So to be at a place where I was leaving, like, and not really having peace was just kind of like, and so it was about almost a month that I did not go. I started getting phone calls from other, members and sisters in Christ and asking where I'm at, where I've been, this, that, and the third. And eventually, I, decided to come and visit, and everybody was happy to see me, and I started, just kind of coming back, consistently on Sundays and stuff, and then, I started feeling like the Lord via the word revealed to me that I was running. I was running because things wasn't going the way that I expected. I mean, because I believe God told me something about being at that ministry, that He revealed something to me, that He showed me something, and it just like I wasn't seeing it, it wasn't happening. I was dealing with a lot. I was dealing with some things from other, sisters in Christ that wasn't cool, that wasn't favorable. I was being attacked a little bit. It was a lot happening, and I wasn't really leaning into the Lord. I was leaning more into my own, like my flesh. And the Lord revealed to me that I was running like Jonah, like that He gave Jonah an assignment. He had a specific assignment for Jonah to go to a specific people to say a specific message. And Jonah ran because he didn't like the people, because he felt like them people didn't deserve mercy. He felt like them people were enemies. He didn't want to give them a message of grace. And so he ran. And the Lord was showing me I was running because God did call me to that ministry. And so even in stuff like that, like you got to be sure. You have to be sure. You got to be patient. You can't just make these sudden, impromptu, irrational decisions, because it'll set you back, or it'll get you derailed and off course where God really wants you to be. So it's so important, like, that you just really seek Him. Just seek Him. Just seek Him and seek Him some more. Know that you know, right? And so I'm going to end it here. It went way longer than I anticipated, but it was something that I feel like we needed to talk about, that was on my heart. And I hope it blessed you, but right thing, wrong time, and distractions. So I just hope this episode really at least get you to really thinking, stopping and considering. Selah. And of always, make sure that you know your past does not define you, it develops you, and you are worthy.